Welcome to today's episode of the Cross Labs podcast, On My Mind.
The funny thing, I guess, is that causality isn't like part of the underlying equations of motion. It's caused, in some sense, by the choice of applying a boundary condition.
It's Lisa.
Yeah, hey, sorry. Can you hear me?
Yep. Everyone is hoping that you're going to save them from the current conversation.
Okay. Well, what is it? Or should I just not know and come in with some other thing?
Well, so I'm glad you asked.
No. Just start talking. Just say things.
All right. I've become a little bit of a hot dog connoisseur living in New York. Let me tell you that, because every bar around here is like, oh, you get a free boiled hot dog with your drink or whatever, and I'm like, I don't really know if I want that, but that's kind of fun. And because this is just who I am, apparently, at this point in my life, I got one because I was just kind of like desperate, and I was like, whatever. And this girl's like, so how's the hot dog? And I was like, kind of looking, I was like, all right, let me tell you. It's like, go to the halal cart, 3 blocks down, they will give you one that they will top with halal cart toppings, which is like sauerkraut and various sort of like Middle Eastern sauces. It was like, they will grill it, that's where you go. Okay, and then I was like, man, I'm becoming a problem. It's like I'm giving people like hot dog advice.
And this podcast is going to be your hot dog recommendations. So,
Oh my god.
I'm smiling so broadly right now.
Yeah, because now Oneris can have a minute, 30 seconds podcast about hot dogs and he doesn't have to parse through a bunch of causality math.
God, I think comics like Garfield, they must be the first thing to go if all AI generative whatever ever becomes good, no?
What do you mean, like there won't be any more Garfield, or people will be upset that there's AI generated Garfield, or what?
It should be the easiest thing to
No,
auto-generate.
I don't think it's the worst, but the thing is the quality of art is not the draw of something like Garfield. Like, you're not reading Garfield because, like, oh, look at the awesome, realistic, artwork of this cat.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the story. And yeah, you could make little gags with LLMs or something like that, but it's hard to be pithy and clever, right? You have 3 panels and it has to be coherent. It has to be quick, get to the point, and make someone laugh.
I wonder how those Photoshop tools are going with AI.
You know what's been interesting? So I haven't looked at the tools themselves, because why would I? But being on these like very just public forums and seeing a lot of comments from just like people that are not like AI experts by any means, but just like the reaction from like, hey, we've got this cool new like generative paintbrush thing, like you can use it or get suggestions on your designs. And there are so many people that are just like, this is the worst thing, like we need to revolt against. About what I expected would happen, but it's kind of interesting to just like watch the dialogues happen.
Yeah, different communities, I think, split different ways
For sure.
on that. I know that there are a few people who actually are getting workflows to get the professional quality, but also use these tools. I think a lot of the people who really like the AI stuff don't want to actually have to do anything at all. And so you don't actually see all that many people putting in the curation even, or doing the, fiddling with the images. I think you do still see some, but maybe that's going to take some time before there's like a subgroup of people who both are like, I want to use this, but are also like, I am actually still willing to have to do some things myself in order to use this. Versus like, if I can't get it just by pushing a button, I don't care anymore.
Somebody who uses this stuff just to really make something that's kind of better than what was there before.
The one really big example is there was a group that did a short animated film using AI to basically make it animated. So they actually filmed it on camera. Then they did all sorts of things like training LoRa's to get consistent characters, get consistent styles. They did a lot of, motion interpolation and motion prediction kind of stuff to make it smooth. And they actually integrated that into a studio workflow. I think they were doing it to kind of prototype the studio workflow, but it's sort of like saying, we're going to see whether or not a studio could basically make animation systematically using this kind of workflow, and like what would be the pain points and stuff like that.
Is this an excerpt from an existing anime?
No, this is like a studio did this to prototype the workflow. They have a thing where they actually say like exactly how they did everything. And it's not button press. They had to fine tune models for each character and even like different points of view of the characters and stuff like that.
But like there is a bunch of scaffolding process behind releasing an actual audiovisual product that it's actually very suitable for this type of tools. Because I know of a bunch of studios that stopped hiring storyboard artists that are actually crazy expensive, because now it's very viable to use a diffusion model to do your storyboards.
Yeah, that makes sense. Any kind of concept art or like creating a bunch of different visual possibilities that then someone's actually going to go and animate or draw or model or whatever themselves.
Not even, because you just put in the vision of it, and then that person takes that probably as an inspiration, but it's not like this is the model. It's just like, this is how I envision the thing to be.
I think it's just a matter of like a couple of years until we get some fully AI generated movies.
I guess this is my own, angle on it. Like all of the stuff that tries to absolve the creators of being creative. Yes, you can make it. You can probably make it pretty quickly, even with what we have now. You don't need like Sora 2 or whatever, but it's just not going to be good. The degree to which it'll be good will be like at a textural level. Like it will have the sort of lighting that a professional film is supposed to have. It will have the sort of, dramatic beats that a professional film is supposed to have, things like that. But like if the people who are making it don't actually care about what they're making, like even if the technology is very good, they're also going to be really bad at curating it and, recognizing which generations are the ones that should actually be published and which ones are the ones that are like crappier and probably should just be discarded.
But I disagree on the premise there, because it's not like you're using an AI tool to replace the creative process, because the creative process in that scenario would actually be the curation.
Well, what I'm saying is this isn't something inherent to the AI. This is something about the culture of the people who are the early adopters of these kinds of AI-generated art things. It's not that it has to be this way. It's just that like there is a tendency for the people who are really excited about this to want to remove themselves from the process.
That's it for this week's episode of the Cross Labs podcast On My Mind. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you'll be the first to know when the next episode is out. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week.